visit to the KNUST campus was that the Minister for Education, Dr. Osei Yao Educhum, a Deputy Director at the Council of Tertiary Education, the University's Council and management met as a result of the situation to find a solution to this matter. The University Relations Officer, Dr. Daniel Norris Bequing, told GBC News that following this, management has decided to extend the grace period for the defaulting students to the 20th of May 2022, a day before the start of the end of semester examination.
The Student Loan Trust Fund administrators were here. So from next week, according to the Minister of Education, they are to set up at the Great Hall so that students who have genuine challenges can go and apply for loan to settle their fees. Previously, students who were benefiting from the Student Loan Trust Fund were getting the money sent to them directly. This time, the money is supposed to be paid directly to the university so that they can, those affected students or those who have applied and have gotten it will get a text message that, well, so much money has been advanced to them so that they can clear their fees.
The URO warned, however, that even though all the students were allowed to write their mid-semester examinations, anyone who fails to comply with the new deadline will have themselves to blame when the next examination takes off. He said guardians must now take keen interest in whether or not the awards pay fees given to avert a recurrence.
A $35 million pharmaceutical company at Pram Pram in the Greater Accra region under the One District, One Factory initiative is officially operational. The facility, Atlantic Life Sciences, will produce vaccines, infusions, eye and nasal drops, among others, for the Ghanaian market and the sub-region. The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, who inaugurated the factory, said the impact of such facilities and headway factories under the One District, One Factory initiative gives credit to his desire to establish more factories to add value to Ghana's raw materials.
The Atlantic Life Sciences is a pharmaceutical company under the government's flagship program, One District, One Factory initiative. Work started in 2017 with a 10 million Ghana cedi financial support from the Ghana Exim Bank. $35 million newly constructed sterile plant produces infusions, anesthesia, vaccines, serum, eye and nasal drops for the Ghanaian market as well as the West African market. The facility had a workforce of 280, but employs up to 800 direct jobs at full capacity and created indirect jobs of 2,500. The chief executive of Atlantic Life Science, Dr. Dhananjay Tripathi, outlined the next step for the company.
With the above information, we humbly appeal to the government of Health to consider the restriction of importance of infusion into the pharmaceutical market in the country. This will help in protecting these 5 companies from competing with substandard and sometimes fake imports and assisting and conserving our foreign exchange, while creating employment for our people.
And a later Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, Mr. Samuel George, pleaded with the government to work on the water supply system to the Ningo Pram Pram area.
Mr. President, I cannot end without saying that we hope that another issue which they have is power, and that the excess power that our Ministry of Energy talks about will be channeled to Ningo Pram Pram. The factories here will consume that power, and we will drive the industrial revolution and development of Ningo Pram Pram.
The chief executive of the Ghana Exim Bank, Mr. Lawrence Ajinsem, said Ghana Exim Bank is prepared to support the establishment of more companies under the One District, One Factory initiative.
This bank approved 10 million facility for this facility. And as a matter of fact, within 4 years, the disbursement has been done. And it was supposed to make sure, as the honorable member said, to help us in terms of import substitution, in infusion, and also eye drops, as well as anti-snake syrup.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Shamatin, said the Ghana Obatampa Cares program has a special package to support Ghana's pharmaceutical industry.
1, to upgrade pharmaceutical companies to achieve WHO global manufacturing standards. 2, the provision of management and technical assistance to enable these companies to operate efficiently. And 3, the establishment of a bioequivalence center to support the local pharmaceutical manufacturing industry.
President Akufo-Addo said government One District, One Factory initiative will make good headway in the country's value addition drive.
The transformation of the Ghanaian economy from one of production and export of raw materials to an industrializing, value-adding economy remains one of the central priorities of my government. This requires, inter alia, a vibrant investment climate and a robust regulatory and incentive regime to support private investments in new strategic sectors. Hence the commitment of the government towards the successful implementation of a number of initiatives, such as the One District, One Factory, 1D1F program, the development of industrial parks and special economic zones, the strategic anchor industries policy, micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises development, and the business regulatory reforms program.
The coming on stream of Atlantic Life Sciences brings to 107 the number of operating factories since the One District, One Factory initiative was outdoored by the government from 2017.
The Vice President, Dr. Mamudu Bawumia, has challenged all black people everywhere to see themselves as Africans first and team up with the continent to develop strategies that would establish alliance, cooperation, while ensuring their contribution to the development of the continent. At a UN high-level forum on the diaspora with people of African descent in Accra, Dr. Bawumia said Africa needs all her people in the diaspora to build economic partnership and financial freedom for the people of the continent.
The African Union defines the African diaspora as consisting of people of African origin living outside the continent, irrespective of their citizenship and nationality, and who are willing to support the continent's development and the building of the African Union. In 2021, the inaugural celebration of International Day for People of African Descent was hosted by the government of Costa Rica. This followed a resolution adopted by the United Nations based on a proposal by Costa Rica to observe the day in recognition of the history, legacy, and contributions of the African diaspora worldwide. The African Forum is part of the United Nations Fora to advance the rights of people of African descent by promoting recognition, justice, and development. With the theme, People of African Descent, accelerating the commitment for recognition, advancement of rights, justice, and development, the high-level meeting, dubbed the Return Mission, is promoting dialogue and advocacy on areas that would enhance inclusion and the well-being of people of African descent. It is being attended by the Vice President of Costa Rica, Epsi Campbell-Barr, and her team from the Central American country. The United Nations Under Secretary General, Dr. Natalia Kanem, described this reunion as necessary for the development of the African continent.
You know, people say, why do you like that Ghana so much? It's the people. When you get to be an elder like me, come to Ghana. I'm telling you, I use my senior privileges for everything. Everything. I do not carry a bag. I do not stand in a line. I use my senior privileges. So that's why I can look like this at 72.
Costa Rica's Vice President, Madame Epsi Campbell-Barr, said the Return Mission will afford the African continent and the diaspora with African descent to maximize opportunities for the young people of Africa.
It's a project to declare the first Afro-descendant tribal people in Costa Rica, as well as the gate of reunification from redemption for our ancestor for reconciliation with our past. A wonderful project that creates the necessary symbolism to reunite us with Africa and build an extraordinary bridge for the future.
Ghana's Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, said it is important for the 6th region of Africa, which is the diaspora with African descent and the diaspora, to explore opportunities to develop the continent.
People of African descent have a story only they can tell and should not be sidelined in discussions on the advancement of the protection of rights and demanding for equity. These deep-seated biases still prevail in the world we live in, with Afro-descendants struggling to find a sense of belonging in a land where they were born, but which rejects them at every turn. Please join me while I salute every single Afro-descendant who bravely challenges the order of the day by continuing to resist all forms of racial discrimination. Afro-descendants are Africans, no matter where they come from. The legendary musician Peter Tosh, it was he who said it so beautifully when he sang, "I don't care where you come from. As long as you are a black man or woman, you are an African."
The UN General Assembly's theme for the International Decade of People of African Descent from 2015 to 2024 remains hinged on 3 pillars: recognition, justice, and development.
Ghana remains committed to the practice and advocacy of these 3 pillars, which are also reflected in the African Union, whose charter emphasizes the right to equality and non-discrimination, enjoining states to remove all obstacles that prevent equal enjoyment of all human rights.
The Africa Forum also looked at ways to deepen the bonds between Africa and her sons and daughters in the diaspora, as well as the challenges posed by climate change, COVID-19, and the Russia-Ukraine conflict to African economies.
The Majority Leader, Mr. Osei Tsemen-Sabonso, says the government has already rolled out implementation of the Electronic Transaction Levy, e-levy, following presidential assent of the bill. He was reacting to a question on the injunction application filed against the e-levy by the National Democratic Congress NDC members of parliament on April 19. On Friday, the Majority Leader addressed the parliamentary press corps to clarify some information in the public space which they consider imprecise.
Finance Minister indicated to us that the commencement of the collection, right, is going to be on May 1st. That is what they want to do. I don't know what they say. They want to stop the implementation, but the bill is already being implemented. I don't know what they mean by that. Upon the assent of the president, a bill, if Parliament has not postponed the operation of the bill, immediately after the assent, it comes into operation. So if you fall foul to it, you can be prosecuted for falling foul to a bill that has been assented by the president. So this bill is in operation. The necessary structures are being put in place now. It doesn't mean that it's not being implemented. It's being implemented. If the minister tells you that the actual collection will start from 1st April, 1st May, and you think that it's not started, so you want to put impediments in the way before the commencement date, I don't know what the understanding of the commencement or the implementation of
Still in news, the majority leader, Mr. Oseiche Mensabunsu, has also cleared the air about some issues happening in the House and moves taken by members on the other side. According to the majority leader, though they agree that the Speaker can receive petitions, they disagree with the Speaker about the House not debating the report by the Privileges Committee on absentee members, but will vote on their recommendations. At an interaction with the media on Friday, the majority advised members to make the effort to exhaust all laid down processes and procedures in the House for addressing issues before heading to the courts.
The Speaker can receive petitions from outside. I disagreed, however, with the Speaker when he said that after some conclusions have been arrived at after investigation by the committee, those conclusions to be contained in a report will be submitted to Parliament, that is a plenary, and plenary would not debate the reports, but it will be for the information of Parliament. But Parliament, that is in plenary, will vote on the recommendations or the conclusions of the committee. We disagree with the Speaker. If a motion for rescission can be granted space relating to mere communication from the Speaker, then we will have a situation where the President communicates to Parliament, and the next day somebody rises up to say that let's have a motion of rescission to the information that the President has provided us. I don't see where his strength is coming from.
As the world marks Earth Day 2022, the Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Mr. Henry Kokofu, says, while the government plays its role in tackling environmental pollution, attitudinal change is also crucial in dealing with the global concern. Reports by Ofre Wadaku.
The prevalence of environmental pollution began with the birth of the Industrial Revolution and has not slowed down since then. As populations continue to grow, so too has environmental pollution. This has created a serious global problem that continues to affect biodiversity, ecosystems, and human health worldwide. While pollution can take several forms, the three major types are air, land and water pollution. According to the Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Mr. Henry Kokofu, humans contribute to each of these every day.
The environmental pollution has three main pillars. The water bodies, the land and the atmosphere. So whichever way you find it yourself, you come down to water because you need the water cycle to be efficient enough. We have a huge challenge on that sector, and most of the activities has to do with human attitudes. We have got to change.
In Ghana, wastewater management in industrial enclaves like the Tema Metropolitan Assembly and other areas that are important to make the environment safe for all citizens are being invested in by the government. When asked about the current state of Ghana's water bodies and the environment in general, this is what Mr. Kokofu had to say.
The source point of water supply, particularly our riverine, is under siege. So we're going to explore all avenues. You also have this socioeconomic problem of galamsey or illegal mining in water bodies. The government is fighting it, society is fighting it, but the war is not over yet.
The EPA says it will soon embark on the landscape restoration project to restore degraded water bodies. This year's Earth Day is tagged Invest in Our Planet. Everyone is therefore expected to act boldly, innovate and implement equitably for a green future and a prosperous future. For GBC News, Ofre Wadaku reporting.
It's time for the Chopology segment. An authentic, all-natural, flavor-packed fresh fish sauce of Ghanaian origin, Fanti Fanti. This recipe is popular in the central part of Ghana, and that is how it derived its name. It is loved by many, especially those in the southern part of the country, because it is so simple to prepare. Today on Chopology, Madame Becky Last takes us on a mouth-watering ride into the world of this simple but finger-licking and amazingly tasty meal, Fanti Fanti. Coming up, the ingredients: fresh medium-sized tomatoes, onions, garlic, ginger, pepper, makushito, salt and some natural spices, fish powder, cassava fish or any other fish of your palate's calling, and palm oil.
Juice, pepper, blended pepper, and then onion with garlic.
Pour palm oil into a saucepan and place it over medium heat. While on the fire, add some chopped onions to the heated oil. Add your pepper blend and then your tomatoes. Stir and leave on the fire for about 5 minutes. Allow the stew to cook for about 5 to 8 minutes. Add your thoroughly washed and already descaled catfish of your desired size into the stew. Place on low heat to cook well. Add the already washed and blended onion, garlic and ginger, and a little salt to taste. It is pleasant to add some vegetables for color and flavor.
Just a little simmering for some juice 3 minutes.
So, what is your preferred accompaniment when ready? Serve with fanti kenke, banku, boiled yam, rice or yam balls perhaps. You know what they say. Your diet is a bank account. Good food choices are good investments. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food.
We have more news coming up, please stay. Back. Aging is inevitable. The biological clock and our own good habits cannot keep us young. In Ghana, many people get concerned as they near retirement simply because social support systems for the aged are almost non-existent, and Ghana's aged population is fast increasing regardless of the poor services for this unique group of citizens. In Accra, a charity has inaugurated a new facility to give the aged some form of socialization and connect with their peers.
Providing long-term care is a challenge to states around the world. In some countries, supporting frail and disabled adults is a major budget item, and even then, the care provided is good enough. Even though some elderly people find comfort around their family and given the necessary attention, some are also neglected. For some, due to diseases such as dementia, they find it difficult to recognize their family members. They are seen as a burden on their relatives, while others are accused of being witches and thrown out of their homes and therefore become homeless. With the pressures of life, some are unable to spend enough time with their aged relatives and take them to any aged care center for assistance. A charity organization, the Comic Foundation, has opened a facility to care for the aged and give them the freedom to feel at home. The founder, who is also a geriatric doctor, Dr. Edward Danso, says he is passionate about the aged, and this urged him on to put up this facility. He shared some challenges often associated with caring for the aged.
Some of the problems, number one, is cooperation from people who have to help you. We are unable to get support from any organization, none, even government is not interested. They don't have provision for the elderly people. The challenges are from the top. But I always tell people that the government, we are expecting to do something. It doesn't own your parent. It is your father, your mother. So it is our singular responsibilities, individual responsibilities, to take care of our mothers and our fathers. Instead of putting the blame on external forces, government, society, everybody must be responsible and take care of their fathers and mothers.
A pensioner, Mr. William Afrim, shared his experience with GBC News.
There's no joy in it. Then when we talk about financial matters, the little we get out of our pension money, it doesn't take us anywhere. So we sit down thinking, if we are not weeping in our head, so it is difficult. Life as a pensioner is not enjoyable.
A senior citizen, Mrs. Edith Francois, encouraged the elderly to live healthy and relate well with other people and avoid stress. The Christ Our Mission Relief Foundation is founded by a geriatric doctor, Dr. Edward Danso, whose aim is to enhance, innovate and promote good care for the elderly in the country at no fee.
We have more news coming up. Please stay.
This segment is brought to you by MTN and Quick Credits. Good evening and welcome. I am Dorothy Ajaman. The World Bank Group has announced a 15-month crisis response financing package of about $170 billion to help countries address multiple overlapping crises. Of this, the bank group is working to provide an initial crisis response of about $50 billion by June 30, 2022. The response also includes analytical work and policy advice at the country, regional and global levels to inform well-targeted crisis and medium-term interventions.
The World Bank Group has presented to its governors and board of executive directors a crisis roadmap which would outline the initial fast-track response and possible next steps. This will be followed by a more detailed proposal to be presented to the bank's board by the end of June. This response follows the World Bank Group's fast comprehensive action to help countries address the COVID-19 crisis, with over $200 billion committed between April 2020 and March 2022 to fight the health, economic and social impacts of the pandemic. This response included more than $73 billion of International Development Association IDA resources on grants and highly concessional terms. According to the World Bank Group President, David Malpass, developing countries are facing multiple overlapping crises, including the pandemic, rising inflation, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, large macroeconomic imbalances, and energy and food supply shortages. These, he said, are causing massive reversals in poverty reduction, education, health, and gender equality. According to him, the World Bank Group would respond to these crises with impact, speed, and scale.
Ghana targets to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 64 million tons by 2030. A Deputy Minister for Energy, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, says it will take policy actions towards increasing renewable energy levels in our energy mix by 10% if we are to achieve the target. This transition, he says, would come at a huge cost to the country.
If we reduce the production of oil and gas, because we are no longer getting investment, because some of the investor institutions are declining investment in our industry, in the oil and gas industry. IFC has stopped funding oil and gas projects. The European Bank for Investment has stopped funding oil and gas projects. Over the last 10 years or so, Ghana has received about $4 billion United States dollars from oil. And so what does that mean to us if we stop producing oil and gas? People have invested in downstream infrastructure. All the petrol stations we see around, they are investment. If we gradually do not move towards electric vehicles, and rather we use a radical approach to adopting EVs, what becomes of these assets? They certainly become stranded assets.
And we believe that climate financing and how we position Ghana's economy in transitioning in this energy transition is very critical to our economy. It's all about striking the balance of where we want to go to as a country. What are the available options that we can explore in this quest to transition from fossil fuel to cleaner energy? And I must also reiterate that we don't have to sacrifice the very investment we have made now and enjoying as a developing country in the quest for us to transition very fast.
It's better for us to have homegrown solutions in respect to our climate change and in all aspects, that's business, economic, and even financing.
Beginning Saturday, April 23, 2022, all Glo Mobile customers in Ghana will be moved onto the Airtel Tigo network. This is contained in a statement from Glo to its over 800,000 customers, informing them about a strategic partnership between the telcos. The circular read in a bid to provide wider coverage and a faster internet experience for its customers. Network operator Glo has entered into a nationwide national roaming arrangement with Airtel Tigo for voice, data and SMS service.
The statement urged Glo customers who face any difficulty in automatically moving on to the Airtel Tigo network to manually select Airtel Tigo network on their phone's network settings and enable data roaming under mobile data to enjoy a superior experience on the Airtel Tigo network. It, however, noted that all other conditions of service remain unchanged, explaining that Glo customers will continue to recharge with Glo scratch cards or electronic credit transfers and enjoy all existing Glo products, including value-added services. Glo customers may dial the existing customer helping line of 100 or 023 00 10 100 for assistance. They could also visit the Glo Customer Experience Center or alternatively dial Airtel Tigo's helpline 02600 00 100 for prompt resolution of any service issue. Airtel Tigo is a merger between Airtel and Tigo after the original owners of the two telcos, Bharti Airtel of India and Millicom Cellular PLC of Sweden packed out of the country and sold the merged entity to the government of Ghana for a reported $1 million with considerable liabilities. Glo, on the other hand, has been struggling since it entered the Ghanaian market in 2012 with a bank, promising to do everything like never before.
And that's it for the business segment, proudly brought to you by Quick Credit and QNet. And that's it. We have more news coming up. Please do stay.
Segment of the news. The Deputy Chief Executive Officer at the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation in charge of technical operations, Mr. Pokwame Dankwa, is to take over from Dr. Kofi Kodua Sapong as the new Chief Executive of the corporation. Dr. Sapong is expected to leave office after leading GNPC for 5 years. He was appointed CEO of GNPC in 2017. Mr. Pokwame Dankwa has over 18 years of experience in strategy across multiple businesses, with most of his focus in oil and gas. He joined GNPC from Valence, where he managed the North American Strategy, Development and Innovation team. He also worked as Baker Hughes, General Electric, and other places before joining GNPC. Former Managing Director of Talugana, Mr. Kweku Awatri, says the government of Ghana's assurances to further consolidate its partnership with Nigeria, Togo and Benin in the gas industry is essential to attaining energy goals in West Africa.
I think the government is already doing this, but we must look at it aggressively. When you think about West Africa, ECOWAS is a community of 16 West African countries. 3-4 of them make most of the economies, Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, if you like. The rest of ECOWAS is a lot of small economies. Not every economy can afford a 400 or 300 megawatt power plant. Not every economy, a lot of them are landlocked, can afford the cheap power prices that Ghana can afford. So really the idea of regional integration is really critical to provide, gas in particular from areas of surplus, Nigeria, into areas of deficit, most of West Africa. Electricity from areas of surplus, Ghana right now is an area of surplus, to countries where they don't have electricity. So this idea of regional integration is really fundamental to the region's success and to the individual country's success as well. And I think government recognizes.
As more news ahead, please stay.
This segment is brought to you by Lufat from Tobinco. Street foods and those from restaurants and hotels have been found to contain high levels of trans fatty acids as a result of cooking with overused oils. Although Food and Drugs Authority does not have the capacity to test for trans fatty acids in foods, it is collaborating with the Institute of Leadership and Development to develop a regulatory legislation to enforce a reduction in trans fats in the foods manufactured, imported, and consumed. The two bodies are also advocating for mandatory nutrition labeling and ultimately a ban in the inclusion of trans fats in vegetable oils and margarines, as well as other food products. A report from Sarah Ofori. A 34-year-old mother of two, Ms. Promise Iwunofu, is appealing to the public to help her raise 6,000 Ghana cedis for her baby to undergo surgery. Her baby was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. According to doctors, the baby has also contracted meningitis, which puts her at risk of further complications.
Promise discovered she was 4 months pregnant and had not been on folic acids. When the pregnancy was 9 months old, a medical scan revealed that the fetus was malformed. Doctors told her she needed to abort the baby, but she refused. The baby's head keeps growing bigger by the day. 6,000 cedis is urgently needed for the baby to undergo an initial surgery. Otherwise, she might not be able to walk.
I'm appealing to anyone that it touches his heart to please help me so that this child can have life, so that she can make use of her 2 legs, so that nothing will happen to her toileting parts and her urinary parts, so that she will be able to live again. Please, I'm appealing to anyone that can help should please help me.
Donations can be sent to an Ewutu Amasa Rural Bank account. Account name, Promise Awinofu. Account number, 219-142-000-082-3881. Donations can also be sent via MTN Momo number 059-602-4564. No amount is too small.
The health segment brought to you kindness Lufat from Tobinco.